Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And let's continue the series I've been doing where I attempt to name the best player in each NFL franchise's history, their all-time GOAT in my eyes. I've been doing these in alphabetical order. We have just two teams left, starting with the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Tennessee Titans began as the Houston Oilers. Their inaugural season was 1960. They remained the Houston Oilers until from 1960 to 1996. For two seasons, 1997-1998, were known as the Tennessee Oilers. And from 1999 on have been known as the Tennessee Titans. So we have 65 seasons of action. Now, 2 off seasons ago, I did my NFL Mount Rushmores by team, 4 best players in each NFL team's history. Last off season, I did my NFL Mount Rushmores by position, 4 best players at each position in NFL history. So before I go on and name the GOAT of the franchise, with all these, I've been revisiting the Mount Rushmore, just seeing if maybe I would make any changes in the 2 years that have passed since I did it. So in alphabetical order, starting with Earl Campbell. I mean, the guy was Offensive Player of the Year each of his first 3 seasons in the league. Bruce Matthews, longevity matched by very few players in league history. Warren Moon, first ballot Hall of Famer in 2006. Mike Munchak, offensive lineman, part of the Hall of Fame. All 1980s team. Now, I thought about including Derrick Henry in the 2 ensuing seasons that have passed. I decided to leave it as is, but if I were to really research, maybe I would have thought about including Henry over a Munchak, but this franchise has had good running backs. As mentioned, Campbell is on my Mount Rushmore, Derrick Henry. We also have Chris Johnson and Eddie George in their franchise history. Other honorable mentions include Keith Bulluck, Robert Brazile, Steve McNair, Jarrell Casey, and Derek Mason, to name a few. But let's get into it. Who do I consider to be the best player in Tennessee Titans / Houston Oilers history? Well, it's a guy that played for both of the franchises. That is Bruce Matthews. Matthew was selected in the first round, 9th overall in the 1983 NFL Draft. First ballot Hall of Famer in 2007. He played 19 seasons in the NFL, all with that franchise. Now, the first 14 were with the Houston Oilers. The last 5 were with the Tennessee Oilers / Tennessee Titans. Was an historic career for the Hall of Fame All 1990s member, also a member of the NFL's 100th anniversary team. Played all over the offensive line. Let's take a look at his season-by-season numbers. Of course, offensive linemen, there aren't many stats for them. But as you can see, his position, he played all 5 positions at some point in his career on the offensive line. Most of his more of his seasons came as a guard. 11 of the 19 seasons, but also spent time as center, right tackle, and had a season as a left tackle as well. Each of his last 14 seasons in the NFL, Matthews was named to the Pro Bowl. Now, if you look at the all-time record for Pro Bowl selection leaders, at one point Matthews was tied for the most in NFL history. Tom Brady did surpass him. He has 15, but Matthews tied for second most with Tony Gonzalez, Merlin Olsen, and Peyton Manning's historic group of players right there. Matthews was also named first team All-Pro 7 times in his career. You look at his approximate values. I mean, 10 is usually borderline playoff season. Approximate value is a metric that Pro Football Reference uses to say how useful a player was for that season. He had 13 seasons of double-digit approximate values. If you take a look 293 starts in his career. That's the third most in NFL history, most by an offensive lineman. The only two players with more starts, Tom Brady, 333, and Brett Favre, 298. Again, Bruce Matthews played all over the offensive line, was a part of the 1999 Tennessee Titans that reached the Super Bowl. He was playing left guard that season. It was one of his numerous first-team All-Pro seasons. This was a tough one, but due to the longevity and, just playing all over the line and being very good at each position on the offensive line, I'm going with Bruce Matthews as my best player in franchise history. I get if you might consider Earl Campbell, and Earl Campbell was spectacular. Problem was, injuries kind of derailed his career, where after those 3 historic seasons to begin his career, had just 2 more seasons with over 1,000 rushing yards. But what do you think? Do you consider Bruce Matthews to be the best Houston Oilers / Tennessee Titan in franchise history? Now, with all of these, I am also looking at the active roster and deciding if there's really, any current players that could potentially find their way overtaking the GOAT, or at least reaching the Mount Rushmore, maybe being an honorable mention. Titans really didn't have a good season last year. First season quarterback to end the season in Will Levis. But really just one guy who could potentially maybe be an honorable mention. He's got a while to go before he could be considered a Mount Rushmore guy for the team, and that's Jeffrey Simmons. Simmons made the Pro Bowl in both 2021 and 2022, 26 and a half sacks over 5 seasons as a defensive tackle, one of the better defensive tackles in the league. Of course, Derrick Henry is now on the Baltimore Ravens, signing with them as a free agent. But he, again, if I were to really revisit this Mount Rushmore, I would think long and hard about putting him over Munchak. I decided to leave Munchak on, though. But stay tuned. Tomorrow is the last team for this franchise, the Washington Commanders. They're all on the playlist, as are my Mount Rushmore videos, not just for NFL, but NBA, MLB, and NHL as well. So check them out. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.